When I was young, we would visit my great-grandparents once a week. I'd usually sit on their living room floor with toys, but sometimes I would just sit and talk with my great-grandpa Jack. My great-grandpa was a very mindful person, a yogi at heart, even though he didn't do any yoga. And he taught me all of his positive mantras, like think well to be well. He explained the mind can be a healer or a killer, that the mind can control the body. As a reminder to be kind to others, he'd say, smile and the world will smile with you, and kindness would come back to you. And he also talked a lot about gratitude and would encourage me to smile and say thank you. Grandpa believed that a positive attitude was one of the most important things in life. He once helped a woman find her lost car in a mall parking lot. She was super upset and crying and had been walking in circles for an hour in the sun. And he just wanted to cheer her up. So he said something funny and they started laughing, and then they couldn't stop. And they caused a scene because everyone around them started laughing too, but no one knew why. Grandpa knew then what scientists have since proven, that smiles are catchy and healing. Even if we don't feel like it, if we smile, our bodies get the signal from our brains and it becomes true. If we have compassion for ourselves, we have compassion for others. It's like a chain reaction. A smile is a road to peace, one that kids can learn early and something that can change the world. My great-grandpa passed away years ago, but his lesson stuck with me. I honor him by teaching his mindset to other kids. I believe that the key to ending violence is teaching kids when they're young to be mindful and deal with emotions and stress. By teaching coping tools to kids today, we may prevent another suicide or school shooting in the future. That's why I created the Wuf Shanti Children's Wellness Foundation. Wuf Shanti is a dog character that teaches mindfulness and social-emotional learning through fun and games and promotes health and wellness and peace and positivity. In fact, Shanti means peace. We teach kids ages 3 to 10 years old relaxation and happiness techniques, including breathing exercises, mindful movements, positive thinking, and how to interact with others, all of which is supported by serious science, which shows that mindfulness, social-emotional learning, yoga, and meditation can help reduce illness, increase focus, help do better both academically and athletically. And when you practice these things on a daily basis, they really do help with your mental and your physical health. When I interviewed pediatrician Dr. Zheng Vo, he told me there's a lot of science behind mindfulness. We can see how it affects our body, our physiology, our blood pressure, the way our brain functions. We can see how it affects our own breathing or muscle tension or heart rate. This sounds a lot like Grandpa's Think Well to Be Well mantra that became Wuf Shanti's main message. As Wuf Shanti, I travel to schools and children's hospitals to share our curriculum with the kids. These hospital visits may have been the most emotional part for me. When Wuf would walk into the hospitals and see the kids with cancer, the children, many of them ball from treatment or hooked up to tubes, they'd all forget that for a few minutes and would run up to Wuf to hug him or dance or give a high five. But the reaction of the parents was different. They would cry with the joy of seeing their kids happy and smiling. I felt sad seeing them like this, but happy at how my being there was helping their lives even for just a few minutes. In the 5 years since we started Wuf Shanti, we've produced 7 books, a free mobile app with signature games like our gratitude and laughing games, and over 100 videos which run on local PBS stations and schools and children's hospitals nationally. I also wrote the Wuf Shanti songs working with my dad, who also scored the music. We can listen for a few seconds now.
A smile is a gift that makes you happy and free and makes the world a nicer place to be. And if you smile to brighten everyone's day, a smile will come back to you the same way. Wuf Shanti, Wuf Namaste. Think well to be well today. Wuf Shanti, Wuf Namaste. Wuf Shanti to you.
So even my little sister and her friends haven't guessed yet that the voice singing in the Wuf Shanti songs was me before my voice changed. I can't sing anymore or fit into the costume anymore. We have to get other people to do it now. But neither my sister or her friends have ever looked around the room and said, "Where's Adam?" Not realizing that Wuf and I are never in the same place at the same time. And we know the Wuf Shanti videos, books, and mobile app work to get our message out to kids in a way they could understand, because I first tested them on my sister and her friends, who had just turned 4 at the time, and they enjoyed playing with the app while still learning basic life skills. Once my sister was crying, and I told her that she had a choice to make. that she could continue to cry about whatever it was that she wanted, or she could choose to be happy for what she does have. And about 5 minutes later, I overheard her calming herself down by repeating, "Think well, be well, and peace begins with me," while tapping her fingers to her thumb, which is one of the exercises that Wuf teaches. You don't realize how much of an impact you've made until you witness a 5-year-old control her own temper tantrum and bring positivity and gratitude back into her life to keep her emotions under control. It's so important to teach kids the tools to stay healthy physically and mentally, to help them deal with stress and emotions in productive ways so they can grow up to be less depressed and anxious teens and happier, peace-loving, content adults. Anxiety, depression, bullying, anger, suicide, and homicide has doubled among kids and teens in the past few years. Suicide is the number 2 cause of death among minors. 70% of teens, according to the New York Times, say mental health issues are the number 1 problem they face. Why is this? Is it because of social media, academic pressure, these scary events like school shootings, because adults aren't modeling the behavior? Maybe all of it. Adults should be making mental health a priority, and if they won't, then we have to, because cyberbullying is not okay. And killing people in schools, the grocery store, nightclubs, places of worship, or yoga studios must not become the norm. So what made me think that as a kid I could do something? Nobody ever told me I couldn't. If you believe in something, stand up and make yourself heard. We have to use our voice to make the world a better place to live in. If not us, then who? Look around. The world needs us right now. So I'm doing what I can to use my voice to make the world a better place and to get Wuf Shanti's message out to kids and into schools and hospitals. Sure, I've been sad before, been anxious, been angry, but these mindful and socially emotional techniques have helped me. Having a purpose, something positive to focus on, has helped me too. And I believe that these tools can help others. We need to reach as many kids, parents, healthcare practitioners, even government leaders as possible, so we can teach about mental health education and stopping the violence, and stop the next kid from hurting himself, herself, or someone else. It all starts with mindfulness and social emotional learning. Some people think mindfulness is just all about deep breathing. We all know that breathing can't change the world, right? But we all know that breathing is important. You need to breathe to live. Science has shown that if you breathe right, it can add to years of your life. For example, something as simple as breathing in for a count of 4, holding it for a count of 4, and releasing it for a count of 4. As you breathe in, you'll feel calmer. Teens can do this before a test and no one would even know they're doing it. But mindfulness isn't only about breathing. Mindfulness is about paying attention to what's happening now, instead of focusing on yesterday or tomorrow. Focusing on something other than the negative thoughts going on in our head. And if our mind wanders, learning how to bring it back. We can practice mindfulness by listening to a sound in music that we like the drum beat. There are also mindful art activities or self-reflection activities. I like to listen to music while I'm golfing. It's like meditation. It helps me find peace, which then spreads to my parents, my teachers, and friends. Remember, it's contagious. You have more influence than you know. But it takes practice to live mindfully, so that when stressful things happen, and they will, you already have the tools to deal with it. Even practicing for just 5 minutes a day can help. So if we can reach kids while they're in school, they'll be better prepared to face all the ups and downs in life. Social emotional learning can help too. It's about coping with your emotions, self-awareness, self-regulation, self-compassion, and resilience, all of which are so empowering because no one controls to them other than you. It's also about communication, interacting with others, and collaboration, which are all so important. Once I first started Wuf Shanti, others began to help me spread the word, like Adam Avin and Maroon 5, Goop Magazine, Psychology Today, Castle, and the Tiger Woods Foundation. I also got to speak with some really cool change makers, like Congressman Tim Ryan, and Bob Roth, the CEO of the David Lynch Foundation, who share my goal to teach kids the tools to deal with mental health, reduce violence, and make a positive change in the world. But change doesn't always happen easy or fast. One challenge I had to deal with was that some school leaders think these mindful practices are a religion. But they're not. They are secular and they are for everyone. Bob Roth once told me that meditation, properly understood and practiced, is everyone's birthright. That it's like an anchor that helps give you stability and focus to get through stress in life, and can make you happy from the inside. Another challenge was when I became a teenager. I'd like to say I didn't get self-conscious when some of my friends teased me about being this dog character, but I did. At first, I wanted to say, well, we teach kids about how to be kind. Do you want me to sign you up for a class? But instead, I figured out a better way to deal with it. I did what my grandpa taught me to do. I laughed, because they don't keep teasing you if it doesn't bother you. And I took action. By expanding our curriculum to older kids, 11 to 17 years old, there's no dog character in the older curriculum. It's a lot more serious lessons and techniques. I founded the Kids Association for Mindfulness in Education, a place where kids can come together and collaborate to make the world a better place and get these social-emotional programs into schools. Social-emotional learning, yoga, mindfulness, and emotional intelligence are mandatory in some other countries, just like math and science are mandatory. I believe that these mindful programs should be in the core curriculum of American schools as well. Fortunately, that's already starting to happen. I live a short distance from Parkland and the tragic shooting that happened there at Marjory Stoneman Douglas. Survivors and other amazing kids are working on gun issues, and I'm so proud of them. And while they're doing that, I'm working on getting these social-emotional programs into schools. Because when kids grow up to become adults, we want them to be empathetic, kind adults who solve their problems in normal ways and not with guns. I feel like we need to be addressing the violence that's been happening on all levels at the same time, by improving mental health, addressing the issue of guns, and promoting better education. To help make all this happen, I co-founded and hosted the International Online Mindful Kids Peace Summit. The summit was 5 days online, geared towards teens and tweens as part of the annual curriculum of middle school and high schools across the globe. Each day was a different theme based off of mental health education and stopping the violence. We addressed different subjects like diversity, inclusion, communication, anti-bullying, kindness, mindfulness as a tool to deal with stress, positive psychology, and how to interact with others. I also got to speak with some of the pioneers in the mindfulness and psychology field as well. More than 70 subject matter experts, celebrities, and athletes spoke. There were also videos, discussion points, lesson plans, and activities for parents and teachers to download too. Many of the experts at our summit gave similar advice. It's crucial to learn mindfulness and social-emotional learning in addition to academics. They must be taught in schools. We need to be able to know and understand how we're feeling, to be able to cope and respond in appropriate ways, to learn that we have support systems and can build resilience and bounce back, to ask more questions of ourselves and others, and to put ourselves in other people's shoes to give us compassion and empathy. Well, maybe you're thinking, okay, but easier said than done. We're teenagers going through these hormonal changes, finding our independence, relationships, and breakups. And it's even hard for me sometimes to not feel sad or to put my phone down. And I consider myself a pretty mindful teen. But I certainly don't get 8 to 10 hours of sleep like I know we're supposed to, or eat nutritiously all the time because I love cookies. And sometimes I roll my eyes at my mom or get embarrassed when she wears this big turquoise sun hat. But I'm here to tell you that you're not alone, and that there are ways we can learn to cope with life better. We can laugh a little more and enjoy some of our life as well. Well, like I said, almost every expert at our summit gave similar advice, that for teens, look up from your phones once in a while to connect with each other, find something you're passionate about, and know that you can be an agent of change. But for parents and teachers, listen. Really listen and encourage. If kids come to you with an idea, support them. If we want mindful kids to grow into mindful adults, we have to model it and walk the walk. As psychologist Chris Willard told me, the best way to create mindful and compassionate kids is to surround them with compassionate and mindful adults. You want to help us save the world? Let's start listening to each other and find a way to meet in the middle. We all need to learn not to give power to the negative loop in our heads. Parents, let's put our kids' safety, well-being, and this planet first. If we can all be more mindful, we can make the world a much happier, peaceful, and safer place to live in. And kids, be kind to yourselves and others. Collaborate, because if we can come together, we can find resolutions. It's up to us, to our generation, to rise up and stand up for what we believe in. I believe that everyone in all communities should have access to this kind of social-emotional education. That's what I will be working on in the coming years. What will you be working on, and how can you make a positive difference in the world? Here are a few simple ideas. Pick up the phone and call a friend instead of texting. Believe in yourself instead of comparing yourself to the fake, picture-perfect lives we see on social media. You are worthy and can make a positive difference in the world. Even small acts have huge impacts. Make a new friend. Reach out to someone. Make an effort to be nicer. Talk to each other. If you want to make the world better for our generation, we have to do more than just like a post or donate to a cause. Lend a hand. It doesn't matter what your passion is. Help clean up the environment. Volunteer with a charity to make a garden or build a house. Put your phone down. Read to little kids. Make someone laugh. Do something, use your voice, and make today count. And think well to be well. Thank you, Grandpa, and thank you guys for listening.